right.
into a live show.
Let's make sure we get everything.
You now.
Hey, yo. Yeah. It's going to be all right. You think it ain't? Yeah, we do this in the day, not the night. How y'all feeling, man? Yo, Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Sun 752 all up in your area on this Saturday afternoon. And I'm feeling like a real man should. And I hope y'all are feeling like real men and women should too also. So I know that too and also mean the same thing. But don't beat me over the head right now. Y'all got a whole hour and a half to do that. So today we're talking about being on top of things. Being on top of things. What does that mean? Basically, what's the question? When you say that you're on top of things, are you saying that you're ahead of the curve? That you know that you are moving ahead of everybody else? Like you got this. You handling things. You on top of things. Or do you mean that you're maintaining? Like you're not falling behind. You know what's going on. If the question should come up, you can answer the question. It's not going to be like, I forgot, or I was about to get to it. I can't flow through this thing just like fluid. I get to it as soon as it comes, and I'm not running around here like a bum. Yeah, one. Well, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get all into it. The Urban Therapy with Sun Show, and I'm happy to be here. I'm feeling kind of good, you know what I'm saying? Got a little sleep, not a lot. Got a little sleep, but I'm ready to go. So, being on top of things. Today, I might be on top of things, but I might not be. Think about it, though. When you think about being on top of things, you could be talking about a variety of stuff. Like, for example, financially, you might have it going on. The money is flowing. The business is going right. Yo, the dividends, all the bills are paid. The profits are coming through. But you might have a house full of clothes that need to be washed. You might have clothes in the washer that need to be dried, and they've been in there for a week. Oops, I'm talking to myself. I'm telling on myself, but it be like that sometimes, Like, so if there are still little holes in your game, are you fully on top of things? And do you have to be fully on top of things, or do you have to prioritize what you want to be on top of? And that makes you on top of things. We gonna talk about it, be about it, get involved. Gonna talk about it, be about it, get involved. So let's get to it, y'all. Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Let's get it popping. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. We do this every single Saturday from 1 p.m. till around 12. I'm around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heavy that we have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is a Saturday. This is a show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I am your host, Sun 752, a.k.a. Omar, with the... And if you can't say Omar with the... Well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Today, we are talking about on top of things. Ahead or maintaining. Which one are you doing? What does it mean to be on top of things? My brother from another mother, Norris Hill, is all up in the house. What's going on, my brother? And Stacy White coming through on the Detroit side. Y'all know I gets down with the D like that. Y'all know. But anyway, yeah. So what does it mean to you to be on top of things? What does it mean to be on top of things? Now, initially, I would think that being on top of things probably means whatever you have prioritized, whatever it is that you want to be a part of, wherever it is that you want to shine, you want to stand out, you want to be recognized. You definitely don't want to be slacking in that area. But when you are feeling like you're on top of things, are you ahead of the curve? In everything that we do in life, there's always somebody better. There's always somebody better in everything that we do in life. There is no equality. I know that in politics, they try to keep us focused on equality. They say things like that. And sometimes we really feed into it. But when you think about it, the creator made sure that there's no such thing as equality. Ladies, look at your body anatomy. Just being real. I'm not even being nasty this time. I'm gonna take a second or two off, not be nasty, but look at your body anatomy. You know that a woman has one titty that's bigger than the other. That's the way it go. You look at the fingers on your hands. They're not all the same. They're not. They're not even all the same length from one hand to the other. We are right-handed or left-handed. Even when we're ambidextrous, we are right-handed or left-handed. We do not use our extremities equally. So if the creator didn't see it to be necessary in order for us to be equal or for things to be equal, why do we think that we can achieve that in a free-thinking society where equality is not what we want? What we really want is fairness. What we really want is to be in a position where somebody can't say they have more than we have, or that the game is already fixed. That's what we really look for. So when we start talking about being on top of things, are you saying that you are in the race and you are running the race, and you don't think that you're going to win the race, but you're going to have a strong showing? Some people are in the race just because they know that they're going to finish. Well, look, I finished. I did the Boston Marathon. Yeah, I didn't come in first. You know how hard it is to come in first, but I finished that thing. It is an accomplishment. But do you have to be on top of things in order to accomplish that feat? Well, as far as your cardiovascular system is concerned, I would say that you definitely have to be on top of things. That's not an easy thing to do. Running all those miles and whatever in that day, it's a long race. New York Marathon, Boston Marathon, the Philly Run, whatever it is. So when you say that you're on top of things in a competition, what are we talking about? Exactly. In what way are we competing? What we doing? What we doing out here? What we doing? All right. So first of all, peace to Health and Beauty Tony and Queen Monica Davis, all up on the Instagram side. Hold on. My brother from another mother, Norris Hill. Sit back, relax, do your thing, tax and chill. On the YouTube side, Stacy White and T. Carey Wright, morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your site. Health and Beauty, Tony says, I'm babysitting and still have unfinished laundry. Still got to do my beauty routine. Gotta get on top of things. I can dig it. In one area or in specific areas of your life, you might be like, nah, I got this. Y'all ain't got to worry about this. But over here, I got to get to the gas station because my car might, it might stall on the idle. Let me put you on to what I mean by stalling on the idle. Like your gas tank might be so low, so much on E that the E is starting to stand for entirely. So when you go to start your car up, while you warming your car up, you might have to get a ride to the gas station with your gallon can, your red can, gas can, and get some gas to be able to make it to the gas station and pay your $5 a gallon. You know what I mean? So you're not on top of that, but your money might be right. Your club affiliations might be right. You got your taxes in order. If you're in school, those assignments are done. School, it's a good place for us to go with this being on top of things discussion. Whether you, listen, we all went to school. Even if you dropped out of school, you went. If you dropped out of school, I think it's probably safe to assume that you probably weren't on top of things. I don't care if we're talking about your academic your academic level or your your acumen or whatever, something made you dip out before 12th grade. Like you didn't get to turn that tassel to the other side. You ain't get to throw the hat up in the air. I didn't either, because I didn't walk in high school. Yeah, and in college they don't really. Well, the school I went to, you know, school was too big. I went to Penn State. I graduated. It wasn't that big thing. The big thing. You know, you know. I always wanted to throw the hat up. I didn't get because I wasn't on top of things. Actually, in high school, I actually was on top of things, but it's a long story. But yeah, but we've all gone to school, and if you went to school and you didn't do well, more than likely you weren't on top of your studies. You weren't on top of the information. You weren't on top of the material. You may have struggled with it. And if you weren't on top of it, then it was hard for you. And if it was that hard for you to have dropped out of school, yeah, you were definitely not on top of that. Now it could be other factors that were involved. Like you could have had an undiagnosed learning disability. You know how that go. You have an undiagnosed learning disability, and you don't get a chance to really grasp the material because maybe you're dyslexic and you don't see the words the same way. You could have actually needed glasses and nobody knew that you needed glasses. You know how often that happened? I don't know how much it happens now, but back in the day, it used to happen a lot. Kids couldn't hear that well, had mad wax in their ears. And you know how it is. Have any of y'all had the experience of working with somebody who was from a foreign country and English is definitely not their first language? And so in trying to communicate with you, they may not really know a lot of conversational English, but they know enough English to be able to travel, to be able to spend money, to be able to even receive money if they have a business, but you can't really talk to them as if they know the language like that. So one thing that foreigners do, not all of them, but many of them, they may feel uncomfortable about not knowing the language, but instead of telling you that they don't know the language, if they know enough words to be able to say that they know English, what they'll do is they'll pretend like they understand what you're saying. So you may say, you're talking to them, and then it may click in your mind like, wait a minute, I don't know if this man or this woman really fully understands English. So let me ask him, yo, do you understand what I'm saying? Am I speaking too fast? Like blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not trying to dish you. I'm not trying to insult you or anything like that. But I know that I talk fast sometimes and I get passionate, and sometimes I might yell or the way I pronounce my words may not be how you were taught to say them. So I want to make sure that we're understanding each other. And they may say, oh, yes, I understand. And you know what? They're saying, yes, they understand, but they don't. They really don't. But they're embarrassed to not understand. The same way I know that I do the same thing. Like I know Spanish, I understand Spanish, but I don't know Spanish enough to talk to all Spanish speaking peoples as if I know exactly what they're talking about. I'll catch a word here, I'll catch a word there, especially when we're talking about like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Caribbean Spanish, because it's more like a Jamaican type of Spanish. If you know what I'm talking about. So, if you're talking to Cubans and things like that, they all have a similar dialect, although it's not identical. They all have little differences, but it's easier. Okay. Anyway, so when they speak Spanish, that's not the high school Spanish that I learned. It's not the college Spanish that I learned. The South American Spanish is more of the Spanish that I've learned. But even with them, my vocabulary isn't such that I can really, really rock with them. So what I'll do when I'm trying to talk to them is I'll start talking first. So they'll see how much I know, so they won't try to run ahead of me. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll let them know I only speak a little Spanish. Habla poquito español. No mucho. But when you say enough words to them, they'd be like, no, do habla mucho español. I'm like, no. It only seems like that. You know, like once y'all really get to talking, I'm like, I'm lost. It seems like one long thing. So for other foreigners, when they listen to us, English is a really funny sounding language when it's not your first language. We don't recognize that because that's the only language that we know, that we've been taught, and that we speak. But English is a very funny sounding language when you do not know it. All right. So I'm saying all that to say this. Imagine dealing with a foreigner that isn't that great in their own language, and they're trying to communicate with you on your language. And they're trying to be on top of things. You're trying to be on top of things. It's not really going to work. It's not really going, you're not going to be on top of things. There's a miscommunication thing going on that neither of you may recognize, but it's going to rear its ugly head. And it's going to make things, it's going to make things tough. It's going to make things tough. So yeah, being on top of things, does it mean that you are maintaining or are you ahead? What does being on top of things mean to you? Let's get into it. Please, y'all, make sure that y'all hit that like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752. If y'all would like to call into the show and give your 2 cents, I invite y'all to call in. And the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. That's the number to call us at a 319-527-6199. Yes, y'all. It's at a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get on the line. It's at a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get your shine, baby. 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 319-527-6199, baby. It's the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. We're talking about being on top of things. What you know? What do you know? So let's go. Okay. We have a caller on the line. Caller with the last number 6606. In fact. So we're going to go to that caller right now. Caller with the last numbers 660. Oh, wait, hold on. My browser is acting a little slow. You know, it's getting up late today. You know. There we go. Hey, how you feeling out there?
All right. Jesus fuck.
What? Really? That's how we coming in today? Really? You gonna curse your way in the door? Really?
Yeah.
I tell you,
after calling in a couple of times previously and not getting picked up, yeah, that's how I'm doing it today.
Oh! First of all, you Americans take this freedom of the freedom of speech thing too far. That's the problem.
What do? I take it to its furthest limits.
That's right. That's why I'm on my way to Ukraine, Russia, or somewhere, Croatia, Lithuania, Georgia.
Yeah. We Americans. Yeah,
you Americans.
Like the foreigners you talk to, like you have a good time with them. You might have as much of a good time with them as I do. It's not. I don't even fucking bend over backwards for them.
Listen,
if they're in our country for like 5 to 6 years and they only know like 50 words of fucking English, fuck them. That's what I say.
Now, why is that? Why is that? They don't have the right.
Because look.
Yeah, go ahead.
You went to Penn State. Mm-hmm. You went to college. You probably majored in in a degree that was probably employable. If you went over to another country, France, Britain, well, Britain, you wouldn't have any problems with. France, Germany, etc. I bet you. I know I would. I bet you in 2 years you would know that language conversationally. They might know that you're an American, but you would be able to hold the goddamn conversation with them.
Yeah, but you know
and the
why?
Same thing when they're
No,
and when they're over here, they should do the same thing.
Well, there's a difference. If I went to, I have been to France, I have been to Holland, and I have been to Germany, and I did learn a few words or whatever. But I was already a student, so of course I'm going to see the value in doing that. If I was just Joe Schmo looking to leave my country because of the deplorable conditions and because I couldn't make any money and because I couldn't take care of my family, I would probably take a shot and go into another country to try to make it and do the best that I could with what little I know. So you see the difference. Now
difference because
there is a difference.
To go over there and learn the language so that you would know it well enough to make a living for your family. So you would be more motivated, not less.
But they do the same thing. They come over here and they make a living for them. Yes, they do.
Oh, they do not.
They make a good living for their family. Then why do we Americans complain about them coming over here taking jobs if they don't make a good living for themselves and their family from another country?
Because they come over here taking jobs.
They didn't take. You can't take a job that's not offered.
Extending our jobs to motherfucking immigrants. We have enough problems having jobs for natural-born Americans, and they're going to import competition. That doesn't even make sense.
What? Oh yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when they took boatloads of. No. What about when they took boatloads of Europeans from Ireland, from Italy, from wherever in Europe and brought them over here? Did that make sense?
If they needed them, yeah. If they didn't need them, hell no. People who got over here on the boat, regardless of whether they're Irish or Italian or whatever they come from, they were lucky. Fucking lucky.
You know what?
And
you know what the problem is?
Yeah.
You are a true American and you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You are disgusting. You are the scum of the earth. You are true red, white, and blue. You are disgusting.
That's right. I am a disgusting American.
That's right.
Goddamn right. Yeah.
Okay, what else? I'm less disgusting than you. I'm more tolerant than you are. You are the ones. Look. You're the ugly American that they talk about overseas. You're pathetic. Pathetic.
No, I'm not. Because if I go overseas, I treat their customs the way they should be treated. I might not be, purely adaptable Frenchman or whatever, Portuguese or Brazilian or whatever, but I sure as hell would treat their customs and act like a damn good neighbor and not take their laws for granted. Immigrants are the worst.
They are not. I'm going to listen.
They are so.
Honestly, hold on. Yeah. We're going to talk about this and then we're going to get on the topic. I'm going to tell you something. Part of me used to think the way that you do. I used to wonder, why would you come over here and not know the language, not try to learn the language, and you're over here this many years. How come you don't know the language? Then you know what? I found out a couple of things. Are you a boxing fan? Are you a boxing fan?
Am I a boxing fan? Yeah, I'm a boxing fan.
Okay. So you remember Felix who's that little
Trinidad?
Yeah, Felix Trinidad. Cesar Julio Cesar Chavez.
Right.
You know they couldn't speak English.
I would say Oscar de la Hoya, but I think he was born here.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Okay.
So those fighters couldn't speak English, even though they were in the United States for years. And I was wondering why. Like, what's going on? I thought I thought, Mexicans were just so defiant. I thought they didn't want to speak English because, maybe they still had the whole Alamo defeat thing going on or whatever. I really thought that until I worked around some of them.
And you'd be right.
No, I wasn't right.
You would be right.
No, I wasn't right. I'm going to tell you what I learned. And I wouldn't have learned this had I not been around them. I worked at a warehouse in North Jersey, and that warehouse was 95% Hispanic, South American Hispanics, Caribbean Hispanics. And I was like, well, what the hell is going on? You know what I learned about them? Many of them were illiterate in their own country. They couldn't speak or write. They couldn't write or read Spanish in their own country. So that
that's an excuse.
I'm going to tell you why it's an excuse. Wait a minute. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why it makes sense. If you are unable to read and write English, I don't know if you've ever been around people who.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going. And
I
agree with you. If you don't know how to be fluent in your own language, you're not going to be fluent in some other language.
You're not even going to be fluent.
That doesn't mean that
right. So no, it means a lot, because in order to learn another language, you have to be able to spell. You have to be able to see the words so you can be able to phonetically pronounce them and things like that.
Other than that, yeah.
Other than that, the only way you're gonna know words is if somebody tells you the word, and then you have to assume that they're saying the word right and that they're explaining the word correctly to you that they're telling you, and that might not be the case. So you're never going to learn it. We think that parrots can understand English or understand words. They don't. They just mock. They just mock the sounds, and that's what you'll do if you don't learn to read and write in another language. You're never going to learn it. You're never going to learn it.
Guess what, son? We, as Americans, when we're in the kindergarten, first grade, we don't know English either. We got to put time in. And when people go to another country, it's their responsibility. Yeah, they may be functionally illiterate in their own country, in their own language, which makes it harder for them to translate into another country's language. But they got to put in the effort. So if they put in an 8-hour day on the job, they take 2 hours that day to learn whatever language so that they can get along better in life. When these people are here for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, and they only know 100, 200 words of English, I don't give them a pass. A lot of them are anti-American. A lot of them are just anti-American people, and they don't take the time to learn how to make themselves better. Now, why should I give them a pass when I should even give Americans a pass for not taking up, putting in effort to make their lives better?
You, sir, lack understanding and compassion, but that's okay, because that makes you a true American. You are stars and stripes, red, white, and blue, Guam, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii.
And I do not lack compassion.
You definitely lack compassion. You have no compassion. Zero compassion. You're pathetic.
Empathy towards people who are lazy. They have been here for too long without picking up. Look, even people who know how to speak English, they've got thesauruses, dictionaries in their house. They continuously learn how to better themselves in English. Even Nobel Prize, the Nobel Literature winners. Okay, people try to do the best that they can if they want to get ahead. If they don't want to get ahead, don't blame me.
Don't blame you. Listen, you said that they were lazy, but then you say that they're stealing your jobs. I don't see the connection. How can you steal all these jobs with your lazy ass?
There's no contradiction there.
There is a big contradiction.
If they're stealing the job, if you take a look at at what's happening, especially today in America, immigrants can come over here and actually, before they even get on American soil, they get packets of money, and get flyers to know how to go to Social Security offices and get benefits that probably aren't even available to Americans. And if they are available to Americans, we have to jump through hoops. They don't.
So you gonna blame?
Now,
You gonna blame?
I don't blame immigrants. I don't blame immigrants for coming over here. I blame them once they're here to not learn the language.
Listen, it sounds to me like you need to blame your own government. They giving away packets of money. They opening it. Okay, all right. Don't blame wine selling oranges on the side of the highway or because he does masonry work for cheap. That's on you. You know what I mean? Stop charging so much. Stop charging so much damn money. Stop charging so much damn money to build a pair of steps, to build a set of steps. You know what I mean? And beat wine out. You know what I mean?
Well, cool. If you like the competition, then
no, I don't. It's not about the competition for me, but I do understand. Like, listen, the reason that I brought up boxing in this conversation is because if you look at American boxers, most of them have dropped out of high school, had really bad learning disabilities, were involved in crime. Right. Many of them would go. It's a consistent thing in sports, and not just boxing. Same thing with boxing.
That's not the typical example. Yeah, people who are immigrants or people who can't make it as a result of not having gone to school will accept some other kind of profession. Boxing is one of those professions. The Irish did it. The Jews did it. Italians did it. Blacks did it. Spanish are doing it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that those who come over here, even the boxers, have a past and not learn how to speak the language. It defies common sense. If you want to communicate with people who can help you in the new foreign land that you're in, you'll learn the freaking language.
But that doesn't mean that they're not trying. That doesn't mean that they're not trying. It doesn't mean that. You know, they may not be skilled on, but you don't know them all. You only know the ones that you either see on TV or
all. If you're right about those who are functionally illiterate who come from their own country. Now, what percentage of those people are those kind of people?
Probably about 90%, 95%. It's a high percentage.
You think 90% of the immigrants that come over here? I'm not talking about the illegals now, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about those with green cards and visas and come over here, and 90% of them don't even know their own language that well.
Oh no. They know their language well, but it's the same way as it may be the same way as somebody from down south may know English well, but because their accent is so strong, and because the area that they live in, has these vernacularly different ways of talking.
Yeah, they have different dialects.
Yeah, right? So and I bet you one thing. They may be able to speak on a level that and another American could understand, but I know people from like the Gullah Islands down in South Carolina. You don't understand that shit they talking about. You're like, what kind of English is that? You know?
Well, then if they can't speak, then if anybody cannot speak good conversational English, that's their fault and their problem. I don't care if you're
if you can't,
or not. I don't know about the
but if you can't read it, if you can't read it or write it that well, it's going to come out. See, I work in a profession where people have to write things down sometimes, and you see and that's when you really see like, oh, you want to really know where somebody is with your language or their language. Have them write a paragraph. First of all, you might have to explain to them what a paragraph is, but you're going to find out some things. You're not going to find out whether they're smart or dumb, but you're going to find out what they have learned in school and what their scholastic or grammar challenges are. It's going to tell you a lot.
If they have neurological challenges is one thing, but if they can't make it through school, you got to blame the parents as well as sometimes the teachers. But if the parents aren't putting their kids to the fire and saying, hey, Bobby boy, you're not going outside until you finish your homework. And that's on the parents making sure that their children, their offspring, their product from their loins are not growing up to be functional in the society that they were born in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the parents' fault.
It can be the parents' fault sometimes. It can be the teacher's fault sometimes, the school's fault sometimes. It can be definitely the individual's fault sometimes. But when you have a child or when you have children that have learning disabilities that go unnoticed and undiagnosed or uncared about,
okay, that's different, right?
But it happens a lot, especially listen.
But I'm not talking
all of these
about
vaccines. That. Well, but even if you're not talking about them directly, you have to include them because it's a big thing. Listen, when I was young growing up, and when you were young growing up, we didn't see. First of all, there was no such thing as autistic. You might have been slow, you might have been retarded, or you were normal. That was it. Now all of these children, every time I turn around, somebody has an autistic child, whatever, and it's not politically correct to call them slow or retarded, even though those things still exist. But with it being so much of that, there may be other kids out there that look normal, dress normal, and all of that, and are able to slip through the cracks, even though they have those same challenges. So we have to take that into consideration. Now, listen, let's get into what we're talking about today. We're talking about being on top of things.
Okay.
We're talking about being on top of things. Now, when you hear about being on top of things in your own life, what comes to your mind? What do you think about when you say, or if you said that you were on top of things?
If I have a responsibility and I have to make sure that responsibility has to be fulfilled the right way by the deadline that's set, either imposed on me by me or imposed on me by somebody else, that's being on top of
things. Okay. So if it's imposed on you by somebody else, does being on top of things mean that you are getting ahead, or does it mean that you are staying out of trouble?
Getting ahead or staying out of trouble? No, it just means to me that if I have a responsibility, I have to fulfill that responsibility. I don't even include those two categories, whether I'm getting ahead or you're staying out of trouble. It doesn't even occur to me.
Okay, well, let me explain it. Let me explain a little bit more. So even if it doesn't apply to you, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Let's say you have a job.
Okay.
Let's say you have a job. Now, you may know how to do the job well, and maybe there was a time when you were doing the job well, and maybe now that you've been at the job for years or whatever, you know the ins and outs. Basically, you know when the boss is in a good mood, you know when he or she is in a bad mood, so you know what to do. You know how to act accordingly. You know when you know when you can slack off or goof off, and you know when you have to be on top of your shit. So on top of your shit in terms of make sure that you have all of your work done. Now, in that situation, you may understand the whole operation as it pertains to you, but it sounds to me like in the example that I'm giving, you're making sure that you're not striving for excellence all the time. You're making sure that you keep your nose clean. You're making sure that you cover your ass. You're making sure that you avoid write-ups, suspensions, and anything that's going to get in the way of you being able to collect your check. Is that being on top of things? For some people, it may be. For me, I'm not so sure if it cuts the mustard. You understand what I'm talking about?
Well, those kind of people are always worried about whether or not they're going to get, what you're talking about is whether or not they're going to get caught slacking or being incompetent. That didn't happen to me. Only one case could that maybe apply, because there was a broad who became a supervisor who kind of sort of thought of me as a threat, and she and I didn't get along. But as a result, I wanted to make sure that she didn't have anything to point to. No bony fingers of recrimination were going to be pointed my way. But other than that, I always tried to learn the job a little bit better than most, so that I could present my observations of the job. I actually wrote up white papers to about three different jobs, in order to let them know that I was thinking about the job and what I could do to help them. Because I always believe that if I'm going to be there, I want to try to get ahead. So that was my attitude.
Okay. So in terms of being on top of things, you were thinking more of being in those talks for raises and promotions. Yes or no?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Yeah, thinking of promotions and raises, right?
Right. For me, that's being on top of things. Not that I don't think that the other way is being on top of things as well, because you know how some people work on jobs for years and years and they don't want to be in leadership positions. You know, when you get promotions, you're in leadership positions. Some people want to just maintain for the rest of their lives. They just want to be able to get raises when everybody else gets
and
raises.
I don't blame them for that.
Yeah,
right.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
It takes on a lot of, if you're taking on extra responsibility, more hours, you got more pressure on you. Sure.
Right. So what is being on top of things for them? Like, you know, is that an acceptable form of being on top of things? Like, are you really on top of things if you're just maintaining the status quo?
Yeah, I would say so, because your job is to maintain the status quo. My job wasn't to try to get ahead. That was something I put upon myself.
Okay.
But most people, as you say, if they don't want to get ahead, if they like or even don't like the position they're in, when they want to maintain that job, they want to make sure they got money coming in, they do their responsibilities. That's what they're being paid to do. If they're maintaining that particular job's position, then the boss can't expect them to do anything else. I wanted to go beyond that because I figured I like progress. So that's a natural part of me. So I wanted to try to let the boss know, when it comes time for taking a look at certain people for supervisory positions, etc., look at me. But other people, if they weren't like that, I don't have a problem with them at all. As a matter of fact, with some, like I said, I wrote white papers about 3 or 4, maybe even more. But there are other jobs that I didn't feel like, I want to be a supervisor or manager in this particular company. So I just did my job.
Right. And you did it well enough to always to never have your job in jeopardy, and to be able to keep the check coming in, right?
No, not all the time, because I was in the sales field.
Okay.
And you'd be very, very surprised about, even if you're good at the job, how politics can come in. And because, for example, what you probably know about me from being on your show, it's just one personality, but that's a part of my personality that I display on jobs. If I don't like what's going on, I let people know. Because if I feel like, even though you're the boss, in sales, if you're jeopardizing my opportunity to get sales, and especially to get commissions, because you'd be surprised how many jobs wanted to change our commissions around.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to make us believe that the commissions were in our benefit. They weren't. They were in their benefit. So, no. So there were times when I either got fired or I left as a result of I didn't like the job or they didn't like me. But if I were in a non-sales position job, I probably would, because they wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize my getting money unless they changed policies. And I don't know how many times companies change policies, but I would just assume I would be there for a longer time in a non-sales position than if I were in a company in a sales position.
Okay. Well, so that being said, and taking into consideration the politics, because politics exist on every job, but I do agree with you. In sales, people would think that because you're sort of like an independent contractor with when it comes to sales, and you're supposed to, it's supposed to be the one field where you actually get paid what you're worth. that doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't devalue you. You know what I'm saying? So, competition is supposed to be healthy most of the time, but a lot of the times, the competition is unhealthy, and sometimes it's destructive, and sometimes it will compel people to sabotage you, fuck your shit up, and things like that. So yeah, I can see where somebody might get concerned that you're selling way more than they are, you're outperforming them or whatever, and somehow it doesn't click in their mind that there are other customers out there that you can still sell to, but and you getting the recognition that you're getting doesn't necessarily mean that other people are going to get reprimanded or that they're going to get fired or anything like that, because they're still bringing in money.
Right.
They're just not the type of performer that you are. You may be a greater performer than the owner is. He's not going to fire himself for you, So, but in people's minds, they don't look at it that way. All they look at it, some people look at it in ways is that this guy got to go, or they're going to find out other things about you that aren't job related, that they could possibly put a stain on your reputation for, or make you not look as good as
I'm sure that's happened. Yeah,
of course
I'm sure that has happened. That hasn't happened to me personally. But I'm sure that it has happened to other people. Because that's a normal part of life. A lot of people don't like to see other people get ahead, and if there's an opportunity for them to try to sabotage, like you were talking about, they would.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
This broad that I was telling you about, she would try to do that. Now that's the only one that not the only one. Now that was another job, 2 jobs, a non-sales position, by the way, too.
Okay.
They were in accounting.
Okay.
And And again, that was office politics, because I do open my mouth when I feel that something, not because the policy may be necessarily ineffective, but because the policy may be putting too much of a strain or workload where it doesn't belong. So I might open my mouth about that. But when it comes to sales, which is the field I was primarily in, sales and marketing, some people might get jealous because you're making more sales than they are. That's also an natural part of human nature. But I've never been sabotaged as a result of that.
Okay.
I have had people try to do it with other people, but luckily it hadn't happened to me.
Okay. Well,
wait a minute. I'm wrong. It just came to me. One particular job, I got into a discussion with a sales manager, did not agree with what he said, and all of a sudden my leads dried up.
Yeah. That listen, there's some people who spend a lot of being on top of things for some people might mean eliminating the competition, sabotaging the competition, making sure that other people don't get ahead. That's a way for them to be on top of things. It may not be ethical, it may not be desirable for a lot of people, but for those that it works for, it works entirely too well, because a lot of times those are the people who have influence over the decision makers. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And they may not be on top of doing their own shit, but they're definitely on top of tearing some shit down. They're not on top of construction, but they're definitely on top of demolition. A skill is a skill.
That's a good way of putting it too.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many bosses do not really want to get ahead themselves. I was put in a position where people wanted to hire me for my expertise in sales, and I let them know what my advice was, what I thought should be done with certain policies. They hired me. They didn't listen to me. You know what their favorite refrain was? We just don't do that here, Joe. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
You and I talked about that. That's why we need change. See, people want progress, but they never want change.
Yeah.
Now that's stupid.
Well, there's a culture. There's a culture in on every job site. And and sometimes the culture is built by the leadership, and sometimes the culture is formed by the customers or the clients, and sometimes the culture is formed. Sometimes the culture is formed by the
the rank and
employees.
file.
Right. So
Yeah.
so one thing you'll find on every job is that whoever put it together, they believe in themselves. They're very ego driven, and and their whole thing is, well, I must be doing something right because I put this shit together and it's here and it's doing well, and we've been here for however many years and stuff like that. So for you to come in off the street, thinking that all you have to do is flip this, bounce this, change this around, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, who the hell are you? Take your time, be patient, wait. Get to know everybody, or get to know this whole thing before you come in here and try to do a complete overhaul. That's just the way they feel. So,
well, I agree with you on that. If a guy's a brand new person on the block, right, new kid, then he's got to wait. Okay, be there a month or two or so, and then make your suggestions. And if your suggestions work, cool. The thing is, most people, what you're talking about, are people who have turf wars. They believe this is my turf, and I don't want anybody to encroach on it.
That's right.
Now, here's my attitude. Let's say I hire you. You've got an IQ of about 160. I got an IQ of 130. You're more helpful towards the job than I am. Now, my boss is the right kind of boss, right? He wants to get ahead. Then I tell him, hey, you know what? Go's got these ideas. So the boss says, Go's a valuable member of the team. We need Go. They also need me, because suppose I'm an asshole and I know that you're going to come up with suggestions that I don't come up with. Then I'm going to suppress and clamp down on you, and that hurts the boss, that hurts you, and that benefits me. But if the boss has a brain, he's going to say, you know what? Joe's got better ideas than Joe, but Joe's the leader type in this particular position to allow his team members to come up with ideas that help me. So Joe's good in his position, Go's good in his position, and when there's a good opening that we need Go for, then Go gets promoted. But I wouldn't necessarily promote Go over Joe, because Go is good for his suggestions, but does he know how to lead a team? Does he know how to encourage other team members to come up with good suggestions, plus other characteristics of a good leader? But if you are a good leader, then, there's going to be a place to develop people. See, that depends upon the boss. Most bosses, why do you think 80% of businesses in America fail in 5 years? Because of fucking stupidity. It's not because of lack of resources or lack of money. It's stupidity. People do not want to go out there and find out what are the better ways of making this company grow. As a matter of fact, there was a study done, and what the study said in very diplomatic terms was that they found incompetence was the major reason. Incompetence is stupidity.
Yeah, well, that can come in many forms. But I mean, if you don't have a good business plan, a good business model, and you haven't really thought of anything innovative to be able to attract people to your business, of course it's going to fail. And yeah, many people go into it with the wrong frame of mind, thinking that like there are businesses that go into business, where there are people who go into business thinking that the sympathy of the community or whatever is going to help them out. They go in saying like, this is our thing, blah blah. No, it's not our thing, because we would be using our money if it was our thing. So but people go into business thinking things like that, so it's not going to work in the long haul. some people, who believe in you or want to help you out, they will support in that way for a little while. But after a while, they're going to go back to whatever they were doing, to wherever it's not a requirement, or to wherever they feel more comfortable. So I understand that. But yeah, that's not being on top of things, from the beginning. Of course, that should fail. But but even if you aren't on top of things, and something happens to you to make you fail, I'm thinking that learning what happened, or examining what happened along the way, should allow you to be more on top of things for the next go round, if you should get another chance, or create another chance for yourself. you know uh it's
And you're right, but they don't do that.
A lot of people don't. Some people do, but it's just like being a independent business owner. That's not for everybody. And unfortunately, it's not even for everybody who does it. It's not for everybody who pursues it. It works for some. It doesn't work for others. All right, I want to go into this thing about being on top of things in terms of love and relationships. How can you be on?
Okay.
What would define? Yeah, what would define being on top of things in a relationship or in a marriage or something like that? What immediately comes to your mind when you hear that?
Finding out what makes the marriage or the relationship works. To be on top of it means what makes it fail. I don't want to make it fail. I don't want it to be my fault. I'm going to try to make sure that whatever bad habits she has doesn't become exacerbated. So I want to find out what makes a relationship work. Just like in business, I used to go to a library, get business books to find out what would make a business work. I read books about how to make how to make a relationship work. If I want something to work and I don't know the answers, and I sure as hell don't know the answers when I'm starting out in something, then I feel it's up to me to try to find out what makes it work.
Okay. That sounds reasonable, because you would think that would be, or that would have a lot of the ingredients of what being on top of things in a relationship or in love would be, because you're thinking about you're thinking about making the relationship work. So that means that you're thinking about both parties involved. For everybody, it doesn't work that way. For some people, being on top of things in a relationship might just be that you are making sure that that your man or your woman isn't either cheating on you, playing you, using you, abusing you, or secretly or privately humiliating you. That may be being on top of things. Like I've checked,
and that's
yeah. I was gonna say, like,
and that's good too.
Okay, well, as you can see, it can have different meanings. Like putting a GPS tracker on their phones and cars and things like that. It's very unhealthy behavior, and it's pretty indicative of the situation that you're in. But that might be, and I know that it is being on top of things for some people. Like if he or she cheats on me, I'm going to know because I'm on top of things. There's no way that they can go anywhere with anyone without me knowing. Whatever phone calls or texts that they receive, I receive. Cloning phones, all kinds of crazy shit, spyware. You said you said you agree with that?
Yeah, and I agree with it. But I agree with it to find out if the person's cheating, if you've got some sort of hint, because you don't really know. Now, when you find out, you don't pursue the relationship anymore. You try to correct it. If you can't correct it, and you know that he or she is a cheater or somebody that cannot contribute to the relationship as you believe that it should be done, then either he or she's got to go or you got to go.
Okay.
See, that's the way I am. I don't believe, now I used to when I was younger, of course, you stay in a relationship and try to make it work. Of course you do. but for how many months or years?
Mm-hmm.
When is enough enough? And you got to sit down and think about that. So, I've done that.
Hmm.
And I think other people nowadays, I think most men are doing that nowadays. I think most men are saying, and they're phrasing it this way: what do you bring to the table? Because if you, the woman, cannot bring something to the table that's worthwhile, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be friction. And I do not want the friction that I used to be in. No more.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
So that, to me, that's being on top of things. And yeah, in that way.
Okay. For me, that takes way too much negative emotional energy. And it just like it's just not something I could spend time with. Being on top of things in that situation for me would be making sure that I'm not in a situation where I would even think that something like that was going on, because I'm going to act on it quick. I'm not going to be chasing you around or doing things to try to make you be good. You either are good on your own or you're not. And if you're not, then I have to make a decision. Can I live with this toxicity, or can I live with what I know is going on, or can't I? Because if I can't, then I need to make a move. Even though putting myself in somebody else's position, I may know that I need to make a move, but I still may not make it because I don't want to be alone, or I don't want to look for anybody else, or because I really, really love this person and I'll put up with this shit regardless or whatever. So, but so that being on top of things is a little subjective to me. Like, are you on top of things in defense, or are you on top of things in offense?
Well, as what we're both talking about, we both have to make sure that the person that we're involved in is really cheating on us or not contributing to the relationship the way that they think that they should.
Right.
So instead of just saying, absolutely, you got to go because I see an inkling of some bad attitude that you've got, I may want to find out. Now, I've never put a tracker on anybody, but I can see how other people would. And if they find out for sure, then I can see them having the, not just the rationale, but the goods, and say, I got you. You told me you were at this particular place, you weren't there 3 or 4 times. You told me that your boyfriend isn't talking to you anymore, but he is. So you refuse to talk to me about it, and you lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go. Now, some people might say, look, I'll give you another chance, but there are boundaries that people have to set so that other people will not get on your nerves longer than you will allow them to, because everybody has a right to peace and to a healthy relationship. Now, again, when you were talking about on top of things, some people might want to put a tracker on the phone. Yeah, that's an invasion of privacy. When I said I understood that, yeah, I understand how people can do it. And if you really, really love somebody and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know what? That might even be justified in certain situations. But when you find out for sure that the person you really love and trusted has definitely violated your particular relationship, and you know for sure, there's no more guesswork, because what you instituted to find out for sure has come back with the result, yeah, he or she is guilty. Now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to stay in the quicksand, or are you going to say, you're deep sixth, goodbye?
Yeah. You see, I don't know if that's really staying on top of things, because, all right, so earlier in the show we were talking about how you can be on top of things in one area and totally be deficient or not on top of things in another area. And this is one of those ways where I could see it happening, because you even though you may be on top of things as far as making sure that somebody else is behaving in a good way, at least from your vision, but I'm not sure if you're on top of things internally. You're like your internal emotional structure. I'm not sure if you're on top of things with that, because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of emotional energy and suspicious energy in order to do something like put a tracker on a phone or a car or something like that. Because people spend a lot of time actually checking that stuff. It's not something like, oh, you know what? I haven't checked this tracker in a month or something. No, they're going to do that shit all day. You know, my stepdad, may he rest in peace. He always said that a jealous man can't work and a scared man can't gamble, and he was right. It was one of the it's the wisest thing he ever taught me. Because if you're a jealous man, you're going to be on the phone, especially before the cell phone days. Here you are on a pay phone all day or the company phone all day, calling home to make sure that your woman is there, or that nobody's there. You're saying things like, what was that in the background? That didn't sound like the dog. That didn't sound like the baby. Is there a man there?
Right.
Things like that. It's going to be on your mind all day, to the point where you can't concentrate on what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing. And if you're scared, how can you gamble? How can you put money on whatever you're betting on if you're so afraid to lose any money that you can't play?
Well, that's right. Or I used to play pot limit. I didn't play no limit, but I did play pot limit. And you better have balls to know what you're doing. If you don't know how to either, push it all in the middle or bluff, you better not play for those kind of stakes. So you got to have, a good, gutsy wherewithal.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, there's a lot that goes into being on top of things on your internal structure. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm allowing what somebody else or what some people are doing to live rent free inside of my head, I know that I'm not on top of things. I'm not. They're on top of me, and they may be doing it subconsciously. Like they're not trying to rule my life, but I'm giving them the domain, the space. Like I said, rent free. Like here you are. I made the place really nice for you. We're going to be here for a while. It's not being on top of things, because it's keeping you from growing. Or if you are stuck in competition with somebody else, how can you beat everybody else? I can see you're trying to be better than the best, maybe, but probably only the best in that area. It doesn't mean, like, if I beat you in basketball every day, it doesn't mean that I'm a great basketball player. It could just mean that you're not good at all, and I'm really not that good either, but I'm better than you. If I play with anybody, if I play with anybody else that knows how to play, they're gonna cream me. But this is my small world.
Be better than. I remember being in a situation emotionally with a woman that after a while it got to be up and down, and she said she was going to call, didn't call. With me, after a while, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, and if I feel that your emotions are not as strong as they used to be, there will be signs. When the presence of the person, the emotional energy of the person seems to be waning, you try to find out why. A lot of people don't want to know the truth. You know how everybody says that communication is the key?
Yeah.
When you say that, people presume that if you can communicate well, you can fix the problem. No, it just means that you can express yourself so the other person may or may not understand. Hopefully they understand. It doesn't mean it's going to solve the problem.
Right.
But what it will do for me is to find out, where do you stand? Where do I stand? And then people don't want to make the decision of leaving.
Right.
Because they've invested a lot of money and a lot of energy, a lot of time into that relationship. So that's what has to be done. To me, being on top of things is making sure that the next relationship isn't going to be like the past relationship. If there are signs there, I'm going to make it easy on myself to try to find out, can I trust you? Can I believe you?
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between the truth and the truth that you can live with. Some people really just want the truth that they can stand. You know what I mean? They want their own truth.
That's right.
like the truth might be that you're in a really messed up situation, but that's not the truth that you're looking for. The truth that you're looking for is that you're moving the needle in some way. You may not be really going anywhere, but hey, in this environment, this is the way it goes. It's sort of is like what you were talking about when you were saying how some bosses don't really want things to improve, or they don't really want to do any better via somebody else's ideas or whatever. They figure they're going to have to I guess paying people to work isn't good enough.
What you're talking about too with the needle.
Yeah,
people want to move the needle, but they realize that they can't. But at the same time, they don't want to leave the relationship, but they know they should. But that's when people got to say, okay, look, I got to bite the bullet. I love her, or think I love her, but it's driving me nuts. And I got to let her go, and I got to go. And people don't want to do it, but you got to.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about it, here's the thing. When I think about leaving a situation, I think that most people, I don't think that leaving is the thing that solves the problem for most people, because when they leave, many people have to deal with the problem of missing that person, making adjustments to get to making adjustments to still be okay and stuff, and that gets a little heavy for some people. So that's not the option. What they really probably want to do is to make
90 seconds,
make that situation more livable, more bearable, more tolerable. So instead of leaving the situation and finding myself by myself, or having to start all over with somebody else who I'm maybe unfamiliar with, and at least over here I know what I'm getting. Over, with somebody else, now I gotta learn them. They have to learn me. I have to pretend for a while. They're going to pretend for a while.
60 seconds.
It's going to take us a while to come together on things. Yeah, so it can be a problem for some people, and I get it. But nonetheless, we have to learn and grow. We have to make a move.
That's right. So most people, like you were talking about, they want to find the truth that they want to find. And that truth is, oh God, I found something which makes it more tolerable. I can actually accept this kind of behavior, or it lessens the tension, etc. But when you can't do it, if you realize she's not going to change and you're not going to change, then you're going to continue living in an untenable situation. And I think a lot of other people, they say, well, hasta la vista. You gotta go. It doesn't mean that you don't have heartbreak. It doesn't mean you don't miss the person. It just means, hey, I can't go through this hell.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks, different things going on. It's a personal thing. Being on top of things is definitely a personal thing. Listen, man, I want to thank you for calling in. We got to get on up out of here, but it's been a pleasure.
Okay, sure.
You definitely put some seasoning on this meal here. I appreciate
it. Thanks, man. So you went to Penn State, huh? Yeah, that's a good college.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You notice how they said that?
Yeah. You said
it's a good college.
It's a good college. Cool. I'm glad I have your approval.
I said that because I knew you were going to say, "Oh yeah, what college you go to?" I say, and then if I give you the name, you say, "Oh yeah, I think I heard of that."
You know what? That's funny, because I wasn't going to I wasn't thinking that way. But now that you mention it, what college did you go to?
I ain't telling you, because you say,
"Ain't this some shit?"
Yeah, I think I heard of that.
Ain't this some bullshit?
Yeah, right.
Just for that, I'm going to assume.
University. Yeah,
just for that, I'm going to assume that you went to some local prep school or some private school, way out in the sticks. Probably a good school, but something that nobody ever heard of. But it's an accredited university. It'll work.
Yeah, it's accredited. At least it's an accredited university. Yeah.
All right, man. You have a good one. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Have a good weekend. Until next time, go.
All right, man.
Take care. Be safe. Huh?
Peace. Oh boy, say what you want. He delivers. He delivers. That's what I'm talking about. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious March 12th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box, Darlene Bellamy. Happy birthday to you, Darlene, and Angela Williams, Angela. And Ozioma, a beer, Rollis. Happy birthday to you, Ozioma. That's a girl. And also my other brother from another mother, Donald Mack. Donald McKeever, you know, very, very good brother, very good supporter of the Daily Go-Getterism and Urban Therapy with Son. And my brother is turning 57 years old today. And Shockey Sterner, turning 35 years old today. And Velverly Johnson, go get it, Velverly Johnson, turning 54 years old today. And Tamika Morales, turning 50 years old today. Go ahead, Meek. And Elizabeth Hayes, happy birthday to you. And last but not least, my girl, very good supporter of Urban Therapy with Son, Catrice Lewis, turning 44 years old today. I want to say happy birthday to all of you and anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious March 12th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn, rock out, rock on and do the damn, rock out, rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, man, listen, being on top of things means different things to different people. You know, for some people, being on top of things is just like being on offense, like I was talking about, and for some people, it's being on defense. For some people, being on top of things means that you're keeping the money coming in and money flowing and food on the table, roof overhead, shoes on feet, jacket on your back, clothes on your back, whatever. For other people, it means getting ahead. For other people, it means doing well. For other people, it means exceeding expectations. For other people, it means, listen, you can't do nothing with me. Still, for other people, it means just being able to stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble. I'm just maintaining. I'm just making sure that I stay on the right side of the bars and on the top side of the soil. The right side of the bars and the top side of the soil. What? Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. Please make sure that y'all hit that like button, share the show, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. We will be back tomorrow for another installment of the Urban Therapy with Son show. And tomorrow we want to talk about. I ain't telling you, but I do know. Secret, but it's gonna be dope. Watch. All right, y'all. So. For my blog talkers, let me get you out of here. I say peace. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And for my Instagrammers, your fire slam, my jammer, thanks for coming on through and let me exercise my grammar. For my YouTubers, you know just how we do, but thanks for coming on through. See you on the other side, my boobers. Okay, peace. Have a great day. Real great. You know what I'm saying?